Designed for easy installation, only a few tools will be required. Tools needed for installation: 4mm Allen head wrench, a 10 and 12mm socket, two 12mm open-end wrenches, a Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and a drill with a unibit. Step 1. Panel and seat removal. Begin by removing the 4 screws around the panel. With that complete, now remove the transmission control knob, LED display panel, and switches from the factory panel. To remove the transmission knob, simply pull firmly, then remove the nut securing it in place. After it's removed, reattach the nut and knob to keep everything together. Disconnect and remove the switches. Lift the console panel so you have access to the connectors underneath. Disconnect the leads. Next, remove the screw holding the console cover in place and then remove the cover. Remove the 4mm Allen head bolts and remove the hood. Now remove the two 10mm screws on the upper console. Remove the seat base and then unbolt the seat frame as shown. Next, we need to remove the side panel along the console so we have access to run our cabling. The panel is secured with three 10mm bolts and push pins. Remove the bolts and pins and then remove the panel. With panels removed, let's review how we'll run the cables. Intercom cables will run along the console here and up the back. One for driver, one for co-driver. However, for this installation, we're going to use optional jack mounts to put connections up front and accessible. A new dash plate will be positioned here that will house the radio and remote head rocker switch. The intercom body itself will be mounted on top of the box shown here. Step 2. Mount preparation. Attach the radio to intercom jumper cable to the back of the radio in the ICM port. Position the radio in the mount and secure the radio as shown. The remote head features all your intercom controls and installs into the mount, just to the right of the radio. Now let's attach the transmission selector switch using the rugged supplied retainer clip gasket, which will allow you to lock it into place. Now attach the LED transmission indicator board. Attach the knob to the transmission selector switch. Install the remaining switches into the mount. When installation is complete, we will add a decal to the mounting plate to indicate shift mode. Step 3. NMO antenna cable. Remove the large nut and washer from the end of the NMO cable. We'll feed the cable through the underside of the dash, up the A-pillar, to the back and to a central mounting location in the rear. Begin feeding the cable from under the wheel well up through the gap next to the A-pillar. Pull the slack through to reach the back. Then, run the other end of the cable under the dash and into the back of the box to reach the radio. Remember, through this process, do not coil any excess cable as it will impede radio performance. Using the soft R wraps, loop it around the coax cable as shown and begin securing the coax to the frame. Although in most installations, we attach directly to the roof, we chose to use a billet antenna mount to provide more mounting stability to the antenna. Now, drill a hole in the roof and secure your antenna to the mount. Step 4. Complete cable connections. With your mount in hand, begin reconnecting the factory switch connections. Now run the cable leads from the remote head and the intercom jumper through the back of the box and up the dash. Place your mount in position, being careful not to cut, crimp, or damage wires and connections. Step 5. Intercom Preparation. Using the snap mount, we will secure the intercom body to the top of the box shown here. The snap mount allows you to mount the intercom while providing easy access to remove it and service any connections if needed. Begin by positioning the mount as shown and using the supplied bolts to secure the snap mount. Use nuts underneath to firmly secure the bolts and mount in place. Next, place the intercom body into the mount and secure with the supplied hardware. Remember to connect the radio to intercom jumper cable. Now, shown here, we are also installing an optional master power harness. This is helpful so we don't have to touch power and volume knobs every time we go riding. If installing a master power switch, disconnect the switch itself from the harness so we can manage cables in the next few steps. We're installing an optional Baja boot to protect the wiring from water intrusion. An easy way to prep the Baja boot is to fold it over on itself as shown and then feed the wires through. Then, make the power connection to the intercom. And, as shown, also attach the white Molex connector. Step 6. Push-to-talk buttons. PTT, or push-to-talk buttons, are required for radio transmission from vehicle to vehicle. In-car conversations are always hands-free. So, for the passenger push-to-talk, we will use the straight cord version and simply feed the cable through the hole by the grab bar. You may have to drill it out slightly to enlarge the hole. Once the cable passes through, secure the passenger PTT as shown, creating a strain relief loop. This alleviates potential stress and tension on the cable over time. More detailed instructions are included with your PTT on this feature. Pass the cable up through the dash and through the Baja boot and connect to the passenger side PTT on the back of the intercom. Now let's repeat the process for the driver side push-to-talk using the coil cord version. Secure the PTT to the steering wheel and create a service loop as we did for the passenger side. Using R-wraps, secure excess cable under the dash. Run the cable through the right side as shown here and not on the left side with the steering column. Feed the cable through the dash and up through the Baja boot and then the driver PTT port on the intercom. Step 6. Intercom and power cables. To run intercom cables, you have two options. Ultimately, in either case, the cables will have to run up under the dash to connect to the intercom. Cable option 1, you can run the cables along the tunnel and up behind the driver and passenger seats. Or, cable option 2, you can use optional jack mounts as we will in this installation. This places connections in an easily accessible location. In this installation, we have to consider the depth of the cable connection when mounted in the dash or console. In this 2024 YXZ, we have room for the jack mounts as shown. We drilled the holes, and then took the panel to a table to finish installation since it's easier to manage. Place the jack mounts into the holes and secure with a 3/32 Allen head wrench. Once secure, push the cable through the mount and be sure to secure it in place with the set screws on the side of the mount. Return the panel to the console and run the cables up behind the dash, through the Baja boot, and then connect the cables to the appropriate driver and co-driver ports on the intercom. Now, run the power cable to the battery. The waterproof connector will be up under the dash and the terminal connections will go to the battery. As you can see here, we ran the power under the dash and along the tunnel. With all connections complete, pull the Baja boot over the intercom and replace the hood back on the YXZ. Step 8. Installation complete. It's always best to test radio and intercom performance in an outdoor open area. As always, Rugged Radio stands by to help with any questions you have. Check out product manuals and instructions online or give us a call for assistance. Get ready to go further.